All right. Looks like we're officially right back at it here in 2022. This will be our first new live build for the year. This is the Jerry's apartment set from Seinfeld. So I'm really excited about this. Cannot wait to put this thing together. Big fan of the Seinfeld show. This is the set that the subscribers and all the viewers of the channel voted for. Won by a slim margin. I think for a little while there, it was looking like I was going to be doing the Eternal sets, but looks like everybody kind of more gravitated towards this one. And after a little break for the holidays, we are right back to our live streaming ways. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This is a Lego Ideas set, so it was based on an actual fan-submitted idea from the Lego Ideas website. So that's always cool. And this is one that stayed relatively true to the actual original design that we saw way back when on Lego Ideas. There were some enhancements and some little changes made, but overall, I think this one really retained the actual spirit of that original fan-made model. So let's go ahead and get our bags open. Our sticker sheet got a little mangled, but thankfully that crease avoided the actual sticker, so that's good. My sticker OCD can be all right, I guess. And it does look like this sticker sheet was cut correctly, and that's been a problem with some of these lately, is there's been some, I guess they've been cut just a little bit off center. So I'm glad that that's not the case here. All right, let's go for it. So we start with our little manual here. Really love this because it recaptures one of the old promo shots of the whole cast for the show later on in the show. And you can see they have Newman here off to the side. On the back of the book, you can see they actually have this cool image of Jerry doing his late night stand-up routine. So let's go ahead. It has some cool little notes about the characters, about the people who helped design the set. And this is really fun whenever they take the Lego designers and they always have them like cosplay in these books. And this is absolutely hilarious. We have a Jerry, Kramer, and Elaine cosplay going here. Don't know where they found the Elaine style dress, but it worked really well. All right. And then just a little guide about what each bag does. So let's go ahead and do bag number one. One New Year's resolution I have is to try to make sure that I'm not doing just an infinite number of parts for these sets. It seems like for the Pirates of Barracuda Bay set, that it was just an insane number of parts, and it just kept going and going. It was kind of like a soap opera when it comes to the number of episodes. And I don't necessarily want that to happen with this. I want it to be a little more efficient, hoping that we can get this done in just like, 4 or 5 parts, something a lot more manageable than doing these massive, never-ending part after part videos. So let's see what we can do about getting that down to be a little more, I don't know, a little more workable, I think. All right, bag number one. Whee! Yay! Legos! Zoom out a little bit here so we can see what we're doing. There we go. Get my light a little. There we go. It's getting a little shadow from the camera. That's not going to work. And we have little bags, of course, separate some of the pieces out for us. And I can already see Jerry's shirt here. Look at that. It's not the puffy shirt, though. This down a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Always on the first live stream part of something like this, there's always those little adjustments that have to be made, little technical things. Ooh, this is a lot of teeny tiny little pieces, like a lot. So, we have a brick separator. It's still weird for me to get these in teal, like it seems like a big event, because I have so many of these in the orange color that I'm always kind of like, oh wow, it's in teal, even though now I have a ton of them in teal. Probably still have more oranges though, I think. Let's go ahead and put Jerry together here. A Lego Jerry Seinfeld minifig. Not exactly something you would necessarily think you would ever get, or at least not something I thought I ever would. Let's see, he's got 2 different expressions. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I can see some Jerry Seinfeld in that. And then you have, what would this be? It's, I can almost hear some of the lines here, like, is this a, not that there's anything wrong with that kind of thing. And then you get the mullet hairpiece. That's right. You can see that Jerry does indeed have business in the front and a party going on in the back. So yeah, that works. Okay. And let's see what we've got. Oh, and he has a little microphone. I almost forgot to put that in his hand. Ah, there it is. It was in one of the smaller bags. Go ahead and have Jerry. Here they have him holding the microphone in his left hand. I wonder if that's accurate to the show. Was Jerry holding the microphone with his left hand in the show? If he did, I never noticed. Maybe some eagle-eyed Seinfeld fan watching can let me know whether that's live or later on when you get to watch it. All right, looks like the very first thing we're doing is kind of a warm-up build, and I've talked about this a lot before here on the channel. It seems that Lego is way more into like pacing the builds than they used to be and having like a reason why you do things in a certain order. And this is definitely one of those where they have give a mini build at the beginning, which is exactly what they did with the Lego Home Alone set. You had a mini build right at the beginning of the, what was it called? OK Heating and Plumbing van, maybe. So they're following that trend here with another little mini build. And this is the stage that Jerry is doing stand-up from. And of course, anybody who's watched the show knows that there's all those, I guess you would almost call them little bumpers of Jerry doing some jokes and things. Usually there's like a brick background, you know, which is, of course, a standby of comedy clubs. I'd say most of us have been to one where it seems like there's always like a brick wall background in a comedy club. I think that's, at this point, I think that's just something that's like a prerequisite of being a comedy club. You have to have a brick wall somewhere or another. I think it's just one of those unwritten things. And I think what we're doing is we're just building kind of the bottom of the stage. A lot of cool news going on in movies, a lot of cool news going on streaming and on TV. And it's going to be fun to get caught up with everybody on some of those updates as we build this. Talk a little bit more about Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think deserves a lot of discussion. It deserves a lot of attention. Talk a little bit more about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Who would have thought, man? Sony coming out strong. Even Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, was pretty good. So it's Sony, kind of the dark horse candidate for having so many cool things going on this year. I never would have imagined it in a million years, but man, who knows? It just goes to show you can never exactly tell who's going to have the good releases in a year. So many cool movies come out in 2021. And I don't know about you guys, but how many of you all are going to be like me and you're going to be writing 2021 on everything to your great detriment for quite a while? It's going to take me a month. Usually takes me a month to warm up to writing the new year. And I'm a mess till then. I really am. So it takes me a little while to get going when it comes to writing the new month. Jeez, I am a mess. I think one time I was filling out an application and I wrote like a year that was, because I was really nervous and I was just out of high school. And when I was filling out the application, I think I wrote a year down that was like 2 or 3 years past, just because I couldn't think straight. So that's probably the worst date snafu, the worst year snafu I think that I've ever been guilty of, I believe. But I can't be the only one. There's got to be others out there that have had similar problems. Or maybe I'm, you know, just the only idiot on earth. Who knows? Anything's possible. There we go. So we're kind of just building up this tiny little stage. And I really appreciate that they did this. because this isn't something they had to do. I'm not even sure if this was a part of the original ideas submission. I probably should have looked at that before doing this. But I just think it's great that they thought to even include this. It's not the kind of thing that most, I think, looking at a set like this would even care about putting in. But it's such a great way to just add like a little something, because this gives it just a little more versatility. I mean, after all, we are essentially just building a living room and some adjacent rooms and a joined kitchen. So I think this kind of just increases the fun a little bit. I just couldn't believe it when they announced this. This, to me, after years and years of watching Seinfeld and having so much respect for the show and Larry David, I just can't believe that something like this exists. Of course, this sort of goes with a trend recently at Lego, which is doing sitcom kind of sets and TV-based sets, which is honestly, it's kind of a new thing for them to be able to do a sitcom living room and famous sitcom locations. And of course, they've done 2 Friends sets at this point. So does that mean that not only for Seinfeld are we going to get Jerry's apartment, but is it going to follow like that Friends pattern of also giving us, say, the diner that they go to in the show? Is that going to be like the next thing? Is that where we're heading? I mean, I sort of wonder if that's not the intention here. That, of course, I think it's going to depend on sales for this. And I hope the sales were really strong. I don't know. It should be interesting because clearly the Friends set sales were pretty strong. And that ended up getting a sequel set pretty quickly, really, after the original. And the thing about Lego is I do think they like to strike when the iron is hot. Because if you remember, the '89 Batmobile set came out. And I think it might have been within the space of a year that they instantly had the Batwing going, which I've still not got that Batwing. Man, it looks great. But I do think that when they see sales on something, hit expectations, I think that it's more of a, hey, we better go ahead and do this while we can sort of feel, which is smart. You always want to kind of strike while the iron is hot, but you don't want to overwhelm your consumers, I guess. I'm kind of hoping that, on January 1st, there was a huge influx of Lego sets. Like I would say it's probably the biggest one-day push I've ever seen Lego do. Like it was massive, the amount of sets that came out on that day. And I wonder if any of you all bought anything on January 1st, whether it was through the website like me, because I don't have a Lego store like anywhere close. My closest Lego store is like 3.5 hours away. And I don't know if that's weird or if most people are like me and they also struggle with actually getting to a physical Lego store and you just have to get things online or wait till it comes to another retailer. But for me, I did get some of the Lego Monkey Kid sets, and I was really, really hyped about those. And something really cool happened. When I grabbed the City of Lanterns set, which is the big one for this wave of Monkey Kid that everybody was really excited about, I noticed, and Monkey Kid in the United States, it's more of a Chinese theme. And so I was really surprised to see that set go on back order, which means, hey, it's going to take us a minute to get any more of these in pretty quick, just within a few hours, which is a big deal for any Lego set. And it signals really, I think, higher than expected sales, unless they got very few of them in. And I suppose that's possible. Maybe they didn't think there would be that much of a demand. But I thought that was a really big deal that a Monkey Kid set actually got put on back order that quickly. So I think that says good things for the future of the Monkey Kid theme. And I think a lot of people miss this about Monkey Kid. I think that it doesn't necessarily matter that much how well it does in America. And I know that people are like, what? Oh, that's the most important market. No, not for Monkey Kid. Monkey Kid was designed for like a Chinese audience. And if it does well in China, then that's kind of all it needs to do. And I know that in America, we're not used to that. I think we're used to being the target of every consumer push in every market in every way. So it's interesting to realize that, hey, we're just kind of like residual sales for Monkey Kid. We're just kind of like, hey, if other people, buy this here, that's awesome, great. But we made this for the Chinese market. And so that's kind of insane, but it's kind of cool too. I don't know. It's fun to be a part of something international like that. I get a kick out of it. Oh, we are now going to the always enigmatic extra parts bag. That's right. This is the bag that isn't numbered, and it just includes the bigger or stranger pieces. So we're going to go ahead and rip into this and see what we've got. Whee! All right. We have one of those crazy looking base plates with the kind of weird looking bottom to it. And that's going to be part of what's making up this first section of the floor in Jerry's apartment. So part of bag number 1 is not only building the little stage for Jerry to do a stand-up at, but it's also starting to build a little bit of the actual floor plan in Jerry's apartment. Now, of course, I think every one of us are so familiar with Jerry's apartment at this point. It's one of those classic TV locations that I think all of us kind of have this like little mental blueprint in our heads of Jerry's apartment and how it's laid out. I know I do. There's this familiarity to it. Like, it's a funny thing to say, but I think the ultimate test to where if you're familiar with a set from a sitcom or a TV show is, without going back and looking at the show, could you get to the bathroom? And I can honestly tell you that, yes, I would be able to get to the bathroom in Jerry's apartment because it's sort of right there. But I could also get to the bathroom in the Tanner's household in Full House. So I could definitely get to the bathroom there. That would be a good thing to know how to do. Curious, is there a TV house or a TV set that you could instantly find the bathroom to without going back and looking? Because for me, those are the ones where I could get to the bathroom no problem. That is the true test. Yes, that is the one where it's like, okay, how hardcore are you? Because if you can't find the bathroom, you're in trouble. I mean, let's be real. Things aren't going too well if you can't find the restroom. Let's get a little bit of distance here so we can see more what we're doing and get the shadow of the camera out of the way. Oh, that's better. Oh, yeah. Lovely. Lovely. All right. We did another extension to the floor, and I do think that this represents kind of the main width of the floor now, so we have a much better idea of what to do. Now, the Full House bathroom is upstairs, the one I'm thinking of anyway. I think there is, maybe there's another one in the house, but I do know that there were several scenes, that they're like, I think there's one about they're struggling to maybe, there's all sorts of different things that center around the bathroom in the show. I think, what about Family Matters? It seems like in Family Matters, I should know where the bathroom is at. But that's kind of escaping me. I guess it's upstairs, just like the Full House. I don't know. Hey, speaking of Lego sets that I would like, I could definitely go for a Full House Tanner Lego set. I think that would be absolutely incredible. Talk about something that I think the sales would be, no lie, I think the sales would be absolutely huge on a Full House Lego set. Absolutely huge. Yeah, Family Matters might be... You see, I was a bigger Full House fan when I was a kid, but as I got older, I feel like I'm more of a Family Matters guy. And I think the older I got, the more I gravitated to Family Matters. Now, I was like Urkel crazy. Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. I wasn't even thinking about that. In my mind, the attic is almost like a different location in that show because they make it so different. And the Jesse and Becky kind of storylines are sort of more contained. So in my head, like I wasn't even considering it. Imagine how difficult it would be to integrate Uncle Jesse's like music room that was down in the basement, where he has his little recording studio. I don't know how they would solve that. I guess they could go the Home Alone house route of having like a little addition that sort of cheats at being a basement. But I think a basement area is always going to be the undoing of trying to do something like that completely accurately. Oh, thank you, thank you. All right, so we got to turn this thing over, and I can't wait to get like a better feel for how this is going to come together and where everything goes, because the thing is that I have said this before in my live streams, that I try not to like study in extreme detail exactly what I'm supposed to do and exactly where everything goes. I would much rather have more of a good time sort of discovering the layout and figuring out what things are. It kind of robs the experience a little bit. And when you're like me, you get to the insane part of your life where you start perceiving Lego spoilers to where it's like, I don't want to know about all this. I'd rather be surprised. So that's when you finally start to lose your grip on reality a little bit, and you start seeing Lego spoilers. I don't think anybody can truly understand the Seinfeld phenomenon unless you were there in the late 90s when it really started to, mid 90s, late 90s, when it really started to get as big as it did. Seinfeld was being talked about, I remember, by all different age groups. It was, there was kids talking about it. Your teachers were talking about it. Like they would see episodes, and the funny thing about Seinfeld is it was instantly being rerun constantly, or at least that's how I remember it anyway. I don't know if it was TBS or what. I'm trying to remember exactly where I was seeing this massive amount of reruns that they started showing even before the show was over, or at least it felt that way, which is, it's similar to other big sitcoms we've seen through the years, like The Big Bang Theory, which beat Seinfeld to the punch on getting a Lego set. We've seen, there's other shows, of course, that did that same thing that instantly became like a big rerun success. And I don't know, I guess it just speaks to the demand for a show like that even though it's still running, people just can't get enough of it. Friends was very similar, and I have nothing against Friends, and I don't want it to sound like I'm dissing Friends, because I enjoyed Friends and I watched it while it was still going and stuff. But honestly, Seinfeld is way more my thing. And this makes me sound like this makes me sound like a complete jerk in a way. But I like Seinfeld because it doesn't take itself very seriously. I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, but Friends is so goofy though. No, you're wrong. Friends gets into starts taking the relationships and things, the characters, so seriously that it is hard for me to stick in there, and it becomes a little soap opera-y, and that's just not, it's not why I watch shows like that. I don't, and this may be sacrilege to some, but there was even times when Jim and Pam started to overwhelm things I liked about The Office, because I really feel like that the true fun of a show like that is just absolute irreverence. And Seinfeld, it just never took itself seriously at all. Instead, it was too busy lampooning everything that I don't like about TV shows, about society even. So I think it wasn't, when I say society, it sounds like the show had some kind of like social message. It didn't. And that's the brilliance of it. There was no message. As Jerry himself and George proclaim in the show, it was a show about absolutely nothing. And that's what I want. I want a show about nothing. I don't care about, hey, listen, there's shows that definitely should be about something. Like, some of the greatest dramas of our time. Shows like Breaking Bad, all the standards and the classics that, Lost and all of that. Big cultural zeitgeist shows that were so massive and so influential. I mean, yes, those are great for what they are. But I'm telling you, when it comes down to it, if I'm going to pick what kind of show I'm going to watch, I'm going to pick the one that I can just relax and watch, and it doesn't take itself so seriously. And that's part of the magic of Seinfeld. It's great that it's now on Netflix. I feel that that is what I am logging more hours in on Netflix than any other show right now. Funny as it is, I mean, I feel like that's it for me. That, and I think everybody jokes about that, that say when The Office was on Netflix, that's what most people would watch, even though they'd seen it like all the way through many, many, many times. And once again, I think that speaks to human nature, people sort of just wanting something they're familiar with, something they can relax with. People have stressful lives. People do not want to come home and be stressed again by a serious show or something. I mean, sometimes we do. I think that each of us have an outlet and each of us have different kinds of shows we enjoy, but gee, I do not want to be extra stressed. I want to relax whenever I watch a show, and Seinfeld is that show for me for sure. It's a masterpiece. I doubt we'll ever see anything quite like it. And again, there is Curb Your Enthusiasm, so Encanto. Yeah, you know, it looked really good. I thought the trailers looked really nice for that. I still need to watch it though. Did they end up putting that on Disney Plus earlier than people expected them to? Because I swear it seemed like it was only out in theaters for like about a month or something, or even less than a month. And all of a sudden, before Christmas, man, it was on Disney Plus. I don't know if that was like their surprise Christmas release or if that was always the plan. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. And I know it didn't do like super well at the box office for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, you had all this. You know, we're still in the midst of a little bit of a crisis. A little bit sounds disingenuous. Definitely a crisis. But then, you know, Spider-Man absolutely snuffed out anything else. And that's a shame. Because, yeah, I was surprised. It's a shame because I thought it looked really, really fun. And I thought it seemed like it had a really good heart, which is what I'm looking for in a project like that. But you know, the truth is I've never seen something from Pixar that I didn't think was good or was just seemed to be completely worthwhile or was junk. I wouldn't describe anything they've done like that. I'll tell you, Luca, I watched Luca and I thought that was superb. Did you all see Luca? That was really, really wonderful. I thought that it reminded me, Brandon, he put it really well because he watched it before I did, and he told me that it reminded him of like a Studio Ghibli film a little bit. It had some of those classic anime sensibilities to it. And when I watched it, I knew exactly what he was getting at with that. I knew exactly because it was a lovely, lovely movie. You know, and it had that great feel of a movie that not only are the characters, but the setting is a character. It just had such a unique kind of vista. I think I need 8 of these little things. We are just starting on the hardwood floors here. And anytime you get into that, there's a potential to mess it up in a big way because there's so many of these little pieces and they all look, there's a couple of different sizes that look extremely similar. This is the part where you have to count it or else you're going to mess up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So let's get these things in. All right. Hope I'm doing this right, because this seems sort of confusing. If anybody needs me to lay any hardwood in their house, just, of course, give me a call. Just leave me a comment right here on the channel. I'll come over with a full Ziploc bag of Lego pieces. It'll be really nice. We'll sit down, we'll figure it out. No guarantees on quality, of course. It's chances are it'll be an absolute disaster. But you know, we'll do our best. We'll do everything we can. See, I'm already messing up a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, they put too many steps on one page for me to where you're having to look at exactly what they did with the floor plan here. This one has a shorter one, then a couple of little pieces. And this must be where you're making like a little attachment point for something. This is probably, I'm trying to think of Jerry's layout here. This was probably around like the little bar area that he has in the kitchen. If this is oriented the right way, who knows, we may turn it around and it'll be something completely different, but I don't know. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Might have put one too many of these. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. One goes right there. One right there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, this is another one of those little weird spots where you've got to put little anchors there, little bricks, little studs that can attach to something else. So we're just gonna, these are transparent, so that's interesting. Would this be, I'm not really sure. We'll see what ends up going there. This is one of those sets that it comes with a great selection of minifigs and, of course, the main principal cast of the show. And honestly, I'm even surprised that it included Newman. That would have been something that would have been easy, I think, for them to have left out. But for the characters it couldn't include, at least a lot of them are referenced and stickers and little pictures and things, which is exactly what they did with the Lego Home Alone set. I feel like there was probably some, I'm sure I could look it up really easy, but I keep feeling like there was some kinship between the Lego Home Alone designers and the Seinfeld, Jerry's Apartment designers, because I do think there's some similarities in the pacing already. There's some similarities in building methods, and it would make perfect sense when you think about it because, I mean, this is their Lego Ideas team, so I assume it's a lot of the same guys. I'll just be straightforward. I think that probably building the floor is going to be the most boring part of the whole build and the most kind of monotonous, kind of maddening part. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just one of those things that has to get done. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And at least we're just, of course, you would have to do it first because, you know, you got to get everything hooked in. But let's get it behind us so that we can get on to doing cool little mini builds and little things in the apartment and Easter eggs. So I definitely am looking forward to getting through the floor. I feel like that because, you know, it just has to be there. Keep in mind, there's no exterior to this build. There's no second story. It is just a large room, which means that this isn't a structure build. This is a pure diorama. And I actually like that quite a bit. It's more like, it's less of a building. Of course, you'd be doing an entire apartment building for nothing. It's less of a building and it's more of a playset. This is just a big display area to put your minifigs. And if I have to be 100% honest for most things, I think that is more what I like. I just want it to be a big display area that has all the accurate details in it for minifigs. Now, I think that there is an office Lego set coming from Lego Ideas. And I believe that it's going to be the same kind of deal. And it's going to be bigger than this, though, because, you know, you got a whole office park. You can't just focus on one room. However, and I'll be kind of disappointed if it's not like this when we're done building it. Since this is just Jerry's living room and his kitchen and a couple little side rooms, I really don't expect for there to be many compromises like on this set. I mean, I think that's fair. Don't you all think that's fair? That I don't think that we should see like a bunch of the shortcuts that the Home Alone set had, and that was totally justified for an entire house and them trying to keep it under 250. And they gave you a great amount of parts, and it was really a terrific value on the Home Alone set. But I think that is a fully justified expectation. That I don't believe that there should be a whole bunch of shortcuts and little miniaturizations and kind of, just, we sort of half did this, or, maybe it's, oh, that's all right. We're only going to sort of do that. I don't think that that should be a thing for this, because I think that this should have ample room to do whatever it needs to do. And that's just how I see it. So let's see. Might have messed up somewhere because I've got 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I just need to switch something out a little bit because I have this here, and really it needs to go over here, which is a simple fix. I will say that, there's been times, and you guys have seen me build entire sets without ever once using a brick separator. But because these are floor panels, and I'm having to disconnect little floor pieces, brick separator can be pretty useful for things like that. So it's a good thing that it was included here because, yeah, I sort of need it to redo a little bit of this. Woohoo! One thing I don't like about the brick separator is it sends stuff flying. It's kind of unpleasant. Trying to track down little pieces. All right, let me fix that up real quick. Not much of a little problem, but you know how it is. A little yada, yada, yada. Look, I'm using my man hands to put together a Seinfeld set. Yay! I've been going back through the entire show on Netflix, which has been a great experience. And oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jerry, man, he's Seinfeld is like one of the greatest shows of all time, maybe the greatest sitcom ever. I don't know. It's it's in the conversation. I was rewatching the show from the beginning the other day, and well, I've only got Jerry right here. He's come in bag number 1. And he does have an alternate, and he's got the mullet too, which is absolutely hilarious. And so you can see back here, he's got the, I don't know, Kramer kind of face. But I like that he's got the eyebrow kind of slightly cocked right there because it's a very, I don't know, it looks like Jerry to me. That's a lot of fun, I think. And, blue button-up shirt, I think that works. I think it works. I watched the episode the other day about the old lady who is talking about having the pony when she was little, and Elaine and Jerry, they make fun of the pony and are inadvertently blamed for her death because it was too traumatic for her, because it turned out, she had this really troubled past, and the whole family blames Jerry and Elaine for her death. I don't know. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite episodes of the show ever is the one where Elaine decides that she wants to know what the doctors are writing about her on a little notepad. And she finds out that they've written that she was like kind of difficult or whatever, or that she's, someone for them to avoid. She ends up trying to go to the vet to get medical treatment, and the doctors always find a way to transfer the records so that they know not to see her because she's such a bad patient. And I was telling my wife this the other day about the show because I think this is revolutionary right here. And I don't want to come off as a weirdo when I say this, but I truly believe one of the reasons why Seinfeld works so well, and Elaine, who I think is probably the most revolutionary character to come out of Seinfeld. I think the other characters each have something that makes the show work, and without them the show wouldn't work. But Elaine is a complete revelation in the show, and that's because a lot of the times with these sitcoms, the male characters are meant to be one way, and the female characters were always meant to be a different way. And usually it's always this trope of, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there was always this trope of the female character is really smart to temper the kind of stupidity of the male characters. And what I like is that Elaine is allowed to be just as stupid and ignorant as Jerry and George and Kramer, if not more so. In some scenes, they all take turns being stupider than the other, and they all take turns being right. And there is no like kind of sacred cows in Seinfeld. If they're all sort of idiots in their own way, and of course the ending of the show, which I won't get into if it's something you've not seen, doubles down on this, that they're all just horrible people. And there's a lot of controversy about the chosen path for the ending of the show. For me, I get what they were doing. I really do. Because I think the statement is supposed to be, these are really, really, really bad people. These aren't normal. These aren't necessarily normal people. They're us without any kind of like restraint. And when they try for restraint, it messes up and it doesn't go well. So I think there's a lot to love about the characterizations in Seinfeld. Like I said, my favorite thing is that Elaine is just as fallible and awful as Jerry and George and Kramer. Although I think Kramer's problem might just be that he's a little deranged. I don't know if that's all Kramer's fault. I think that he's just that way. Whereas the other characters should definitely know better, some of the things that they're doing. All right. Once again, more of those complex little pieces of the floor here that are just kind of there, just getting through the grungiest parts of the build here. And like I said, I think that the enjoyment will increase tremendously when all of a sudden we're done with this part. I mean, it's nothing against building the floor, but it is the rote kind of part of the build where it's just like, okay, this is a part you got to get done. This is a part you got to do. You gotta have something to put the cool stuff on. So that's all right. That's all right. Here we are. Making it happen. One brick at a time, one stud at a time. I hope Jerry appreciates the trouble I'm going to put a floor under his feet, Jerry. I just hope you know. There we go, right there. Okay, I think that's good for that page. Maybe time to move on. Yep. And it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, that we are possibly building the TV, or no, we're building the coffee table. Yep. Yeah, we're building the coffee table next, or at least the very beginnings of the coffee table. Don't know if we have enough pieces to get through the whole thing here, but we're definitely going to be making some major headway on the coffee table. Of course, Jerry goes through a few iterations of some of the different furniture in the living room throughout the show. And of course, that's something that you see in a lot of sitcoms where things kind of change around and things. Early on in the show, he sells his couch to Elaine, actually. And so things, there's a little bit of a switcheroo there, a little bit of a change up. Okay, now we have some printed pieces, which I think are really interesting. You can see that they have these little prints on them, just little designs. I don't think no, it makes absolutely no difference, their orientation. You just kind of put them right side by side. That's a message of inclusion, right? It makes no difference. You orient it either way. It's all right. You, yep. We're equal opportunity channel here. Okay. A lot of interesting rumors going on right now about the DC film universe. I bet every time Marvel has a smash hit like Spider-Man No Way Home, I bet that DC becomes even more nervous about the direction that they're taking their films. Because Spider-Man, I think, currently still holds the record on Rotten Tomatoes for audience approval. Spider-Man No Way Home is the definition of a universal crowd pleaser. I'll be honest, I don't know a single person that didn't like it. I mean, there might be people who are dissatisfied with like some element of it, but I have yet to find any person, which this is, insane when you really think about it. I have not seen an opinion online from someone that said that they just even sort of didn't like it. Now, you think about that for a second, how insane that is in the absolutely opinionated age of film viewing that we live in. Is it even possible? Apparently, it's possible that there is a movie that, what's it going to do? Is it going to end like all war or something? Maybe this is like going to be the movie to bring about world peace finally. After the struggle, we're now seeing the movie that's going to solve the Middle Eastern peace crisis. It's going to give us peace between between all the Middle Eastern powers. I'm going to put Jerry over here doing his comedy routine. We're just going to have him chilling back here because this next bag, yes, we're already on to bag 2. I know, it's crazy. This next bag is going to be dedicated to more of the floor. So let's get right on it. Bag number 2. Look at this. Bag number 2 is just like a big bag of wood planks. Look at that. We're about, I'm going to be optimistic and say we're halfway through the flooring process. But I'm pretty sure we're more like a solid third of the way through. The first 2 bags, endurance test. Can you handle the Seinfeld flooring challenge? It'll be a Festivus miracle if we can get through flooring this thing. This is the vitamins you got to take to be able to get to the fun stuff. You gotta eat your vegetables, kids, in order to get around to putting the cool stuff on there. All right, this thing ain't gonna build itself. Let's get right to it. Or maybe it will build itself. That, I think I've made jokes about this before, that's the next level for Lego consumerism. It's for them to offer an option where professional builders will pre-build the set for you, and they're going to send it to you in like this special packing that keeps everything in place, and then you just have to, you open it up and you enjoy it. That is the next level. But I'll just be honest, if that becomes a job, if that becomes like a thing, then they're going to have to fight me to get me not to run to that job as quick as I can. All right. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. Had a little bit of a glitch there, but I think we're good now. Okay. But yeah, they would absolutely have to pry me away from that job. That job would be the most incredible thing. You spend all day just Legoing as hard as you can. But here's the real question, though. Would that make you hate Lego? Like, if they made it a job and you were sitting there and maybe you were on the Seinfeld line that day and all you did all day long was just try to put these together, and not only that, but you had a Lego boss. That's right, Lego boss. And he or she is trying to determine your like efficiency and timing you and putting pressure on you to make sure that you're like your efficiency levels are going up and you're having to compete with others for like bonuses. Welcome to capitalism, right? That's capitalism. I had a work from home job one time, and it was this survey job. Oh my gosh. I thought that it was going to be like this really cool thing, and I didn't think it would be very stressful. But little did I know that it would be incredibly stressful because I felt like I was constantly under the gun about productivity and trying to get what the company referred to as completes. And completes were to make sure that whoever you had on the phone was going to stay with you the entire survey through. Like they couldn't hang up on you like before the survey was over. You had to pull out every stop you could to get them to hang on to go through the survey with you. And thank God I wasn't having to sell anything because I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have been like trying to cheat people or anything like that. This was a totally legitimate, reputable survey company. But the pressure was insane. And I remember being so discouraged when I figured out that the bonuses that you were trying to work for, which were like efficiency bonuses, productivity bonuses, the company had very purposely designed these bonuses to be just like out of reach for a regular employee. Like they had designed it to where you couldn't quite ever make what they were hoping, what they were asking you to. Done very much on purpose in order to make sure that they did not have to pay out any kind of bonuses. And when you realize that the system's rigged like that, it completely demotivates your workforce. And just evidence that you can take anything and make it something that I thought would be really cool because here I am doing a Lego live stream, so obviously I like to talk. But, and I always have, but they took something that I enjoy, conversation, and they monetized it to make me kind of hate it a little bit, like just a little bit, feeling a little bit of hatred. So it's a shame, really, but you live and you learn, and if you don't like something, hey, it's America. Find something else. Get another job. Which isn't possible for everybody. Seems kind of unfair when I put it like that. If you got a family to support, sometimes you just gotta hang in there. And some folks can get in some pretty bad situations when it comes to that stuff. So I understand that's not a one-size-fits-all solution. All right. Okay, well, this is kind of becoming strangely satisfying now that the pieces are locking in a little bit easier and you're getting more stuff. Not easier, but it's becoming a little more like you can see the grand design of it there. And that was really satisfying, getting all those little pieces locked into that area. So you know what? I can't complain too much about the flooring. All right, now we can. I will complain a little bit about the instruction manual, though, because there's always something to complain about. Always. Check this out. It shows you the parts up here. And down here, it's trying to highlight in red the section you're doing. And by the time you have all this over here, and then you've got this, everything just kind of flies together. And it's really hard to even separate it out from what's already there. So it's not the clearest looking thing in the world. After a while, it all just meshes together. And the red highlight doesn't do anything because these pieces are all kind of a tan and it's not doing enough to differentiate. So, no. All right. So those two, then little piece. Talking to myself. Legos finally drove me insane. I have nothing left. I have no faculties left. Lego has finally sent me over the deep end. Everybody knew it was just a matter of time. I'm like George's dad. There's got to be a better way. All right, let's get that. And I'm just kind of abandoning reason about how putting these in. I'm doing it exactly as it shows, but I'm not just following perfectly straight lines with laying in each piece exactly as exactly in the right order. I'm doing it exactly as it shows, but I'm realizing it's faster and it's a little more fun just to look down and see where something's at and just stick it on there regardless. Especially if you've got like all the same piece and you just find where those pieces go and just clip it in and keep going. Once again, very satisfying to join new floor to the old floor right there. I don't know why it's so fun, but it is. Maybe this is what floorers, like, they don't want us to know this. That secretly, it's the most absolutely satisfying job in the world, and they don't want you to know about it, because turns out it's just as easy as putting together a Lego set. Okay. Yeah, somebody's gonna get mad if I keep saying that. I very much doubt it's as easy as putting together a Lego set. I've known some hardworking people that's had to do some flooring before. All right. Okay, got that. All good. All right. So now we have a little area that I think is the beginning of the supports for the actual couch. And to me, that's going to be really fun once we like start having the couch pieces in there. Because that's going to do a whole lot to make the room feel complete, I think. All right. Messed that one up. Once again, can't really get these with my fingers. So this is one of the first and only times, like I said, that I'm really using that brick separator to fix my goof ups. As funny as that is. Man, there's a lot of steps on this particular page. When you just have things attaching to a floor like this, it becomes really kind of confusing, really. It's not fun to try to figure it out. Guess I should avoid those big Lego mosaics, right? If I'm having difficulty like putting little squares on one large base plate. Although there is supposed to be a Batman one of those coming out. That's what the leaks are saying. And I'm curious because you guys know that with those Lego art sets that you can always do multiple designs, right? I think it would be awfully smart if they had it where you could do like 3 or 4 different cinematic Batmans, all with one set of bricks. I think I would actually get that and build all the different versions and hang it up. I really would do that. And I don't know if that would require like extra likeness stuff. I don't think it should, because I think Warner Brothers, you know, they have likeness rights free and clear to every cinematic Batman. So I don't think that would be an issue, but maybe it would be. I don't know. Maybe the original contracts didn't cover Lego likeness rights. Maybe that's a different thing. But I don't think that would be an issue. I mean, how great would it be if they had this one set, and with it you could build Keaton, you could rearrange the pieces, and you could build Rob Pattinson Batman as a tie-in to the new movie. You could build Christian Bale Batman, And yes, I'm going to put it out there. You could build Val Kilmer Batman. Val Kilmer, very underrated as Batman. I love Val as Batman. He was great. Um, I think that Ben Affleck, of course, build Ben Affleck as Batman. Speaking of Ben Affleck as Batman, something really interesting came out just earlier that I don't know if you guys had seen this, but Kevin Smith, who is Ben Affleck's own friend, I don't know if they're as close as they used to be, but they were really close anyway, has kind of come out sort of condemning folks that are mad about Affleck not apparently not going to be Batman anymore after the Flash. And you would think it would be the opposite, that he would be coming to those people's defense and being like, yeah, you're right, Ben Affleck should continue to be Batman and it shouldn't be Michael Keaton. No, this was really interesting. He said, why would you feel that way when Ben Affleck himself keeps saying that he doesn't want to be Batman anymore? And that was kind of sobering when I read that. Because I thought to myself, maybe and I wasn't complaining or anything like that, but I was a little sad, a little bummed out that, Ben Affleck probably won't be Batman anymore, because I was a big Batfleck supporter. But I kind of thought that there was some truth. If you love him or hate him, I love Kev, but I thought there was some truth to what he was saying. Why am I getting bent out of shape if it's Ben Affleck himself that just continually communicates this again and again and again, that he doesn't really want to be Batman anymore? Oh, I think I'm done with Batman. Oh yeah, I'm ready to move on. I don't want to be in big movies anymore. I don't want to be in IP driven movies, which is what he said recently. Then why am I bent out of shape about it? I know it's because I loved Ben Affleck as Batman so much. I know that that's the reason. But why am I going to bat? Yeah, okay. Going to bat for Affleck so hard over something that he clearly doesn't want to do. He doesn't enjoy it anymore. It's not what he hoped it would be. He's disappointed. Why do I care so much? Whereas Michael Keaton, who I love, I mean, it's like what Brandon always says when we talk about it. He says that Michael Keaton returning to the Batman role is the greatest consolation prize in the history of consolation prizes for no longer having the Snyderverse, and I don't expect we'll get any more Snyderverse movies necessarily. I think that ship has sailed. We got the Snyder cut of Justice League. It was grand and wonderful. It was everything I hoped it would be. It was far more. That's it. I'd love to be wrong. I'd really like that if I were wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I think they're moving off in another direction. I think that they're hoping for big things with the Flash. And I really hope, Muschietti is directing it. And of course he directed It Chapter 1 and 2. And I will say, and this is an unpopular opinion, I think It Chapter 2 was fantastic. So I didn't understand the hate. Not really hate, but people were just, adamant that it wasn't nearly as good as the first. Don't understand it. Don't get it. So I was really happy with that choice from Warner Brothers as director. And I think he's going to give us a fantastic movie. And I'm really excited about it. However, I am a little confused why they're even titling the movie Flash. Because truthfully, it just seems like a big DC Comics event film. They might have been better off titling it something to do with the Justice League or DC Universe. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll see it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that was through and through. That's a Flash movie. Yep. I don't know, guys. You're taking your Flash movie to reintroduce Keaton Batman, and I think, let's be real, that's going to overshadow everything. I don't care if the Second Coming is in the movie. Everything is going to be, people are going to be talking heavily about Michael Keaton Batman. That's going to be what it is. It's, when I say Second Coming, really what I mean is Second Coming of of Michael Keaton. That's all that people are going to be talking about. I think the Flash has been hijacked out of his own movie. It's kind of sad. It it's reminiscent of exactly what happens with the DC animated movies, like those direct to DVD animated movies. It doesn't matter who the movie's about. It doesn't matter what group of heroes the movie's about. 9 out of 10 times, Batman will be on the front cover of it, and it will be Batman will be in the movie somehow. Like one way or another, it's going to be a Batman movie. And it's an unfortunate reality of DC Comics that Batman is like their one sure thing that they can bank on. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it. I saw the results of a poll earlier, and it was about the most anticipated superhero films for this year. And I believe, was it? It might have been Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, was near the top of the list at this poll. And I think The Batman with Rob Pattinson, I think it was at number 3. And that's nothing to sneeze at. But that kind of was really sobering for me to see, because I sort of realized, and I think Thor: Love and Thunder was above it too. And I thought, man, this is real, that the DC heroes are becoming so overshadowed by, in the popular culture. I mean, they're just kind of, it is a Marvel age of movies, it appears. So I don't know. That was interesting, I thought. There was a whole lot of uncertainty about Batman Begins. But I feel that is what they're wanting with this new The Batman movie. They're wanting it to be a new Batman Begins. Something that they can hang their hat on for the next several years as their main Batman franchise. And they want it desperately. They want a repeat of what Chris Nolan was able to do with Batman. I don't know if you can get it, but let me tell you, if there was ever a man to try to get it, it's Matt Reeves, who's directing The Batman. I think if anybody can do it, he can do it. And I can't wait to see what he does. Hype train is really switching into high gear for the movie. I'm expecting really great things. I'm trying not to have unreasonable expectations. I just want it to be an effective, cool detective Batman movie, because that's what we're being promised. I want it to have cool new ideas, and I don't want it to retread the same things that we've seen a million times before in Batman movies. I want it to be new and original, and I want it to bring up new ideas and new angles on Batman. I don't want it to be the same thing. I feel like a lot of people will just want it to be, something that they already, a preconceived notion they already have in their head about Batman. That's not what I want. I want something original and inventive. And so hopefully that's what we'll get. But I was telling Brandon the other day that I really feel like the pressure is on for the Batman to deliver in a big, big way, that Warner Brothers feels like it absolutely has to do big money. For one thing, the movie has been delayed so much because of COVID, of course. And that has been, I think, a thorn in their side for a long time, that they've needed to get this movie out, and it wouldn't come out, and they keep having problems getting it out. So I definitely see that as another kind of friction point that really makes it so that they have to succeed here, that there's no room for error. Because if it's a misfire, that's going to be hard, to walk away from. It's, honestly, even though I think the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman is fantastic, and that is, of course, the original version that Zack Snyder turned into the studio, and then they cut it down to something that didn't even make any sense. That original theatrical version that Warner Brothers cut down to nothing and the movie fell apart, that was a misfire launch of a new Batman. And it was disastrous for Warner Brothers. And I can't highlight that enough. It was a disaster for them. Because think about it. Without the sure footing of like an instant classic, uh, universally loved Batman like they had with Batman Begins, or pretty much universally, they were not able to build something that could last. And they even tried course correcting to the max with Justice League, which was never going to work. You can never take something that was meant to be one thing and completely tool it into something else. That works so little of the time. It's a horrible, horrible idea. And they tried it, and they bet big, and they failed. So what I'm saying is they can't have another misfire launch of Batman. They absolutely can't. That's just not allowed at this point. If they do that and it's another misfire launch, then I feel like that we won't see Batman as a solo property for years. They're going to take another Batman and Robin, post Batman and Robin break, to where they try to figure out what went wrong and how they can get people on their side again. Here's what can't happen. And I'm going to put this as bluntly as I can. Aquaman can't be a bigger success than Batman. And you know what? Here's the crazy part. Brace yourself. I don't know if The Batman, this new movie, I don't actually know if it can make more money than James Wan's original Aquaman movie. Isn't that crazy? That's scary. That's a little scary. I don't know if it's possible. Now you think about that for a second. Because that Aquaman made a massive amount of money. Like huge money. Money it wasn't even supposed to make. And I don't know if Batman can do that, especially with the post-pandemic box office. You know, it's not like it was. Spider-Man is an isolated event. Don't think many movies at all are going to be able to do what Spider-Man has done. That is a special circumstance where it's this movie that was viewed as not only a movie, but it's a cultural event. It's a callback to all these different eras of the character. It's a unifying like fan event. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame, really, only more meta. So, yeah, don't know if it can do as well as Aquaman in this new world that we're in. I think that there's one big danger that Warner Brothers probably isn't acknowledging as much as they should, because there's a lot of risk here. And I think maybe the biggest risk is that I think The Batman could be possibly, and I could be wrong about this, it might be a little dark for like a general audience. I think they're going to have trouble trying to sell it as something that parents can take the kids to. And that could be really troublesome. It just could be. People forget that even though I saw Batman Returns when I was, I wasn't even 5. And my mom took me and my brother to see it. God bless her. She made sure we were there to see Batman Returns. However, there were many, 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 many parents and kids, I guess, that were traumatized by Batman Returns. Maybe I hope I didn't say Batman Forever a second ago. Maybe I said Batman Forever. I don't know. But it's Batman Returns that I'm talking about. There was a bunch of people that were traumatized by it. A bunch of angry parents who, their kids, they got Happy Meal toys for it, and they thought that meant it was appropriate, and it wasn't. Batman Returns is not great for little kids. So what can you do? What can you do? And I'm a little worried if that's what we're going to see with The Batman. So, you never know. All right, we have bag number 3, and We have a really great minifig that's coming into play in this bag. I'm very excited about this one. All right. Can you guess who just from the face? Let's see if you guys can figure it out. Who do you think this is? Just from the face. What do we think? I think in the words of Jackie Childs, man's a goblin. Oh man. Let's see. Let me find the other pieces of his body here. I think I'm looking for some legs. Yeah, insert Lieutenant Dan joke, I guess. Where's your legs, son? All right. Let's see. Where are they at? Ah. Here they are. They blended in with the other bricks. He's got gray pants. That's right. It's everybody's favorite neighbor, Cosmo Kramer. So I love the smile. I'm going to go for the more extreme face, though. You can see they have some great printing, and the hairpiece is so appropriate. That is exactly right for Kramer. Man, look at his lobster shirt there. Oh, man, that's great. That's great. Oh, that's a killer. That's absolutely killer. Michael Richards has to be, I think, one of the funniest character actors of all time. And yeah, he had a little snafu. He had a little moment a few years ago. Very unfortunate choices that he made there. But that doesn't prevent me from enjoying Kramer in the show. Kramer is a fictional character. I'm going to enjoy Kramer just fine. I'm not worried about stupid decisions that actors make. They're actors. They're going to make some really bad, horrible decisions. So I don't get caught up in that. Now, I think it's important to be honest about the behavior of actors, and it's important to acknowledge it. But I don't think that you should ever get caught up about that kind of thing. Ah, there he is, Cosmo Kramer. Giddy up. Oh my God. This is hard to believe. I cannot believe this exists. I absolutely can't believe it exists. So we're gonna put that in here, and this will be our first little sticker placement for the set. I'm gonna try a little new method here. I'm gonna take the end of my X-Acto knife, and I'm just gonna slice the sticker in two. No, I'm kidding. I am just gonna take the end of it, and I've seen a lot of people use this method. And this way, I'll have a little more freedom with how I'm maneuvering the sticker. And I'm hoping that it leads me to be able to put stickers on during a live stream without it absolutely grinding everything to a halt. Every time I do one of these, I try some kind of new method and always say that, hey, maybe this will be the thing that I do that makes it less atrocious for my live stream audience to watch me put on a sticker. But we'll see if this one actually is the preferred method. Let's see here. What's great about a rectangle sticker like this that just goes on a flat surface is that you can kind of nudge the sticker by pressing it, and you can sort of still flex it around, especially if the room is warm. And I think that's pretty good right there. Yeah, I think it's decent. I'd give myself a solid 3 out of 5 on that one, so good enough. We have the front cover here, and I think it goes the other way. Yeah. I think the little piece of paper inside actually goes the other way around. So I'll just turn it the other way. All right, and on the front cover, oh man, yep, this is the coffee table book, which if you remember that, this is a book, and Kramer goes on to promote it. Doesn't he go to Regis and Kathy Lee to promote the coffee table book, which is a book that's literally about coffee tables? Oh man, I didn't even know this came with this. This is great. This is why I don't look too closely at the sets before I put them together, because I want a few fun little surprises. I want it to be, I want it to have, you know, a level of kind of unexpectedness to it. So we're going to add the cover to the coffee table book. Let me make sure my proportions are right here. I know that there's people who have put together so many Lego sets that they already have the distances in their head about how far it should be from each corner. And it seems like no matter how many sets I put together, I can never quite get that to be something that is just automatic for me. I still have to like look at it and kind of size it around and think about it, and you know, just overall torment myself a little bit. What good is putting together a Lego set if you can't torment yourself a little bit? I mean, you know, that's part of the fun of building Legos, all right, people? It's hating yourself enough to reposition a sticker after you've already applied it. Okay? Let's just be fair here. All right, I've got it on there good enough. Give it a little bit of an adjustment there. And like I said, the great thing is you can kind of slide these just a little bit. If you put enough pressure, the room is warm. You can also heat them up slightly and slide the sticker around. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna go with that for now. I can always go back and adjust it later, I believe. Especially if the sticker is small, they're a lot more capable of being slid around the piece, which I think is always nice. Okay, so we've got that book done right there. And the other cool little Easter egg is the pretzel here. So I'm gonna get that in Kramer's hand. Oh. I think Kramer has to be one of the, I mean, he's got to be in the discussion for the greatest TV show characters of all time. You just want to pose this thing and do all the crazy like Kramerisms with it. Oh, you know. For now, I'm gonna put Kramer doing stand up for some reason with Jerry. You know what? Let's have Kramer on the table. There we go. And see, you can see him back there, just kind of hanging out with Jerry. All right, that's enough goofing off from me. Let's go ahead and get back into it. So it looks like we're starting by actually building up some of the walls. I know this isn't going to be the whole thing by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be some of the main wall parts. Okay. All right, let's do it. I'm really loving how much floor space there is so far. I hope a lot of that doesn't go away as we build things up. I know some of it will go away from some of this side stuff we're having to put on. But I'm hoping that a lot of this stays nice and open, because it would be really nice to put together something like this that actually isn't so crammed. I think that would be nice. And it's, like I said, that is not a diss on things like the Home Alone house, because that is incredible. And what they were able to like cram in, that's an art form in and of itself. But for a set like this, where it's just one open kind of floor plan, there's no reason not to give it a little room to breathe. And what's great is I'm glad that they actually did the Friends and the Big Bang Theory sets before this one, because Jerry's apartment means 10 times more to me than any of those locations. And what's great is that the Lego designers always, always, always learn a tremendous amount from the sets they develop. So what ends up happening is whichever one comes out first, there can be little things that they maybe mess up on there or aren't quite as good, and they learn from those things. So the later sets always benefit, like always. Oh man, this is going to be the most aggravating sticker. This is a complete door sticker, and there's 2 different door stickers we're going to have to put on through the set. So there's a couple of these. I absolutely hate door stickers because they fit awkwardly. There's no real guideline to where the door sticker goes. You just kind of have to feel it out for yourself. And I am just not a fan of that whole setup. It's for one thing, I got the wrong sticker off, so it's good that I figured that out now rather than later. I'm getting too upset about talking about door stickers. It's the other one. So let me get that. There we go. Getting the right one now. But like I said, though, there isn't really a good guideline for where to put door stickers. They kind of just go in this awkward area where you're trying to figure out what the distances are. And most Lego stickers, there's a fair amount of, okay, it's this distance, it's all equidistant, right? It's equidistant from all the corners. But with something like this, you don't have that luxury. It's just kind of there. All right, now let's see if I can get this thing aligned. What I'm afraid of is that it's trying to stick before I'm done. And I know there's people online that take water and put under these, and then they just squeeze out the water on the ends and go from there, but I can't do that. I've never felt comfortable doing that anyway. I feel like it's very close, that I've almost got it the way it needs to be. Little tip, don't attach the door to the hinge before you do this like I did. I think that was a bad move. But you know what? Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll take it. Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, that's decent. That's decent. Could have been much, much, much worse. I'm telling you, you mess up one of these door frame stickers, and there's no going back from it. There's way too much writing on a relatively giant sticker that goes on this door, and yeah, it's a no from me on the way that they do that. Very aggravating. Very aggravating. And then you put a little stud that works as a doorknob. Got it right on there. One thing I'm learning with Lego stickers, and I really don't think they used to be like this, but I feel like they're getting way more like this now, is that I think that now if you're trying to like peel the sticker back off and try to like finesse it and get it a little more perfect, what you end up doing is creasing the sticker and creating a whole new problem. And then you're left with kind of this little scar on the sticker. And I'm telling you, I'm learning to be more like a little more zen about it and just be like, you know what, that's good enough, and just not fooling with it. The more I fool with the sticker, the bigger a mess, the bigger a disaster it becomes. Right. Sorry about that. I had a little glitch. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. I know I had a little problem a little while back with one of these, and people couldn't hear me for a while, and I had no clue. So hopefully everything is good. All right. Now we're going to be doing a little bit more kind of the walls and things. So we've done the entryway. Okay, get that going. It's amazing just how much of this section is just all gray pieces. So that's pretty much all we're going to be seeing for this bag is just straight up gray everywhere. Of course, you know, I've been paying more attention watching the show. I've been paying more attention to the actual walls and the actual layout of the apartment because I known that I was going to be doing this live stream. And I thought, well, I want, you know, a little bit more familiarity with the apartment as I watch it to make sure I can give the right kind of commentary on it, the right sort of perspective. And so I will say that I'm glad that I'm seeing so much gray for the walls because that is one thing that's really, I think, sticks out about Jerry's apartment in the show is the walls are the most drab, like, color you can imagine. And I like that because it gives a little bit more visual, there's a little bit more focus, really, on the characters that way. The background doesn't insist upon itself. It's kind of like the funny little statue of the dude with the lantern in Full House. Like, that thing sticks out like a sore thumb. There's times when I'm not even paying attention to what's going on in some parts of, like, Full House or Fuller House because I'm trying to look at that weird little statue and figure out what the deal is with it. There isn't a whole lot of stuff like that in Jerry's apartment. It's more supposed to be a little more muted out. It's just kind of a 90s apartment. But there are cool things in it, though, that I can't help but look at. Like, every time Jerry is in his kitchen, I'm desperately trying to, like, see all the little things that Jerry has, like all the cereal boxes. I don't know about you all, but that's like something I can't help but do is I'm trying to check out all of Jerry's open cereal boxes. He's got, like, baseball card boxes that are open in there. Just funny, random things. You can see we got way more of those little kind of drab pieces. I don't know about you all, but this texturing here kind of just reminds me of, like, the walls of an office building circa, what, 89, 90? It's like a boardroom in RoboCop. Oops, I went the wrong way. There we go. That's it. That's what we're talking about. This looks like a little row of buildings. Like, this looks like a city skyline. It's like a little miniature, like, New York. Yeah, sure, we'll say that was the intention. Say there's some kind of social commentary at play. Hope you like these pieces, kids, because on this page alone, there's 10 of them. 10. All right. We're just building it up as we go. It's funny, the floor become extremely complicated, but with this, it's like total complete monotony on each page. It's like add another row, and you can't mess it up. You know, it's all as boring as all get out. But it's hilarious that the floor was so confusing. That's something I always think that Lego can improve on is sometimes, like, they dedicate too many pages to something. And then sometimes they don't dedicate enough to something. And they're like, hey, here's 1 billion steps. Do them all. Good luck. But yeah, this is an 18+ set. So there's a Lego designer watching this. And in a perfect Schwarzenegger voice, he's watching it and saying, poor baby. All right. Every time I complain, he looks at the screen and says, stop it, stop it. Who is your daddy and what does he do? All right. Speaking of who is your daddy and what does he do, me and my brother were talking a little while back about how much we love to go back and watch those old soundboard videos, the old soundboard prank calls from like years and years and years ago. Like, oh my God, those are still so funny. Like, even to this day, those are hilarious. Any of them with, say, like Joe Pesci, absolutely brilliant. Any of them with Jack Nicholson, completely brilliant. For a while, that was the most coveted soundboard of all, was that completely comprehensive Jack Nicholson soundboard with all the different Jack Nicholson words, phrases, numbers. You could watch prank calls, and they're so masterful, where these guys have perfect like keyboard control of these Jack Nicholson soundboards, and they've been like successfully able to order like pizzas. Like they can use the soundboard for practically anything, and carry on like full conversations with these people. And some of them, I think some of them do know that it's a Jack Nicholson soundboard, and I think they just go with it. But I really do believe the vast majority of the people they're contacting have absolutely no clue and just think that it's a funny old man talking to them. I really do believe that they seem to be like taken hook, line, and sinker with the whole deal. I'll tell you, speaking of deception, another great Seinfeld episode that I rewatched recently was the one where Jerry realizes that the guy who's been cleaning his house stole the little statue that his grandmother gave him or something. It was like a family heirloom kind of thing. So they keep talking about how they can't prove it, and Kramer pretends to be the private investigator who goes in and shakes him down for the statue and makes him give it back. Speaking of Kramer, I'm tickled to death that we got this incredible Kramer minifig. But honestly, if I could have Kramer, but honestly, if I could have one more minifig aside from Kramer there, that would go with Kramer perfectly, then I'm going for Jackie Childs, which, if you remember, was Phil Morris, played Kramer's absolutely insane attorney, who was supposed to be, I guess he was a straight up parody of Johnny Cochran from the OJ trial. But oh my gosh, Johnny Cochran is, I think, one of the funniest characters in TV show history. It's amazing that Larry David and company, I guess, came up with a character that could, I think the goal when they came up with I almost called him Johnny Cochran. Oh man. But I think that the goal when they came up with Jackie Childs was to create a character that was so out there and so crazy that you could have Kramer interact with a character who Kramer wouldn't steal all the thunder from. Because can you imagine trying to do a comedy scene with Michael Richards as Kramer? I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to kind of leave any kind of impression, because he's going to steal the scenes. And not any fault of his, he's just that incredible as a performer, regardless of what you think of his personal attitudes and opinions. But seriously, it's going to be really, really difficult to do much like playing against Kramer. And so I think that was the goal, to get a seasoned character actor like Phil Morris and get him to do the most outrageous stuff you can imagine, do all the crazy rhyming. And if you've not seen any clips of Jackie Childs in Seinfeld, then do yourself a favor and just look up on YouTube. Just look up Jackie Childs' greatest moments, Seinfeld, and you will see some of the most insane stuff in TV history. A big favorite moment of mine is when Jackie and Kramer come up with the grand idea that they're going to sue the tobacco companies and say that they've disfigured Kramer for his use of tobacco. It's turned him into a goblin, and that is fantastic. What is it, Kramer? He looks at Jackie and he says, "Jackie, I'm going after the tobacco companies." And he stops dead in his tracks, and all their lawsuits are all frivolous, horrible. and make no sense, and they always end in disaster for Jackie. But it's like he has this fit all of a sudden. He goes into this like crazy like state where he says the tobacco companies. I've wanted a piece of them for years. And even like as a, I don't know, I think I was like 11 or 12 the first time I saw that scene, and it floored me. I was rolling laughing because I thought it was so funny. And that's the thing about the humor in Seinfeld. A whole lot of it is so outrageous and stupid that it breaches any kind of like age category, and anybody would laugh at it from older people to practically, I think kids could laugh at Seinfeld because it's just that funny. It's completely universal. I think it also breaches cultures too. I think it has this wide, ridiculously broad appeal. Speaking of what a appeal Seinfeld has, I know that I think Jerry and Larry David walked away with some of the most insane payouts I've ever heard of in the industry for just getting the show onto Netflix. Like, I think they made enough money to end world hunger. I think just from the royalty checks from Seinfeld on Netflix, like it's crazy. Now, I'll tell you one piece of TV history that I witnessed live that was as bizarre a thing as I think I've ever seen on television. And it was when Michael Richards, who plays Kramer, I'm not going to get into what he said, but he, years after the show was over, yeah, man, the big Falcon. Yeah, whew. I don't own the big Falcon, but I have all the respect for the people that do. Man, that thing is massive. But years ago, Michael Richards was in a position where he needed to apologize for the highly offensive things that he said at a comedy club in anger. And Jerry, it just so happened, Jerry Seinfeld was on David Letterman. And he said that that he had Michael Richards with him. Or I think Michael Richards was on Link, like via satellite. And they decided that it would be a good idea for Jerry to introduce Michael Richards to do this apology on David Letterman. And I think that there was some confusion about if this was supposed to be a joke or not. And some people, I think, took it as like a sketch. It was like sketch comedy. And it led to the audience laughing during the during the apology. And it was like really awkward as Jerry like looked at the audience and he was like, this probably wasn't a good idea. I shouldn't have come here. And as they were laughing, like David Letterman like looking at the audience and he's like, be nice. And oh man, it's one of the most awkward things I've ever seen on TV ever. And it was nightmarish to watch. It's cringe city. If you enjoy cringe videos, then look up the Michael Richards apology for the horrible things that he said at a comedy club on David Letterman. Talk about ill-advised. Who told Michael that it was a good idea for him to get on Letterman to do an apology like that? Oh, that's the last place he should have done it. That's the last place. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. I don't know if any of you all know what I'm talking about or if any of you all watch this. But if you're into some serious cringe, and I mean the deepest cringe you can imagine, then watch this awful apology video. Can't help but feel, even though it was a massive mistake on his part, feel a little bad for Michael Richards because it proves that all you have to do is trip up one time, and you can ruin your career forever. That's no excuse for what he said. No excuse for what he did. But I will say that there has to be a certain level of forgiveness for him to now have a Lego minifigure. And I believe that there should be less canceling and more forgiveness in the industry. I don't know about you, but I've had times in my life that I've needed forgiveness. So I'm not going to begrudge anybody a second chance and a chance to do better and a chance to learn, a chance to make it up. You know, it's only through failure that we become better people. And if you're under the impression that all of your favorite actors are saints and they've never said this or that, or they've never done this or that, you're probably wrong. And hero worship is a dangerous thing. It's a horrible thing when you're putting unrealistic expectations on normal people. They may have more money and more fame than us, but they're just like us in so many ways. And it's not healthy to view that as something that, I don't know, perfection is a dangerous thing to hope for, I guess. All right, we're going to attach this. This is starting to look like some kind of surrealist like architecture. Like this is now Andy Warhol's apartment. Let's see. Okay. And yes, we are continuing on this behemoth that we're building. This time, we don't have many parts left for this bag, so we are nearing the home stretch, I do believe. Not many parts left at all. Okay. Love it when I get comments on other videos during a live stream. I'm trying to look and be like, oh, a little busy. Somebody just asked me about G.I. Joe, so. I think their question had to do with, is Sergeant Slaughter stronger than Gung Ho or something? It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know the answer, but it's a good one. It's worth investigating. You know, that's always something that's fascinated me about fandoms is power levels. Like people having like discussions about, is this character stronger than that character, And in the realm of imagination, I don't even see what the confines of those arguments even are, because there's no like exact stats to look at. It's like, not that there's anything wrong with that kind of speculation, that's fun. But I think the one that I'm the most annoyed by is, well, who would win, Goku or Superman? And Superman is probably the most Western hero imaginable. And Goku, who is a literal adaptation of Journey to the West's Monkey King, is one of the most Eastern heroes you could possibly imagine. And they're not even, like, mentally, they don't even seem like the same thing to me. I know that there's, like, people who do, like, fan animations and stop motion things of Goku fighting Superman. It feels like a different universe. It feels like a different rule book. It feels like it's not even in the same ballpark like what it is. I feel like Superman is playing by different rules than Goku, and Goku's playing by different rules than Superman. But now, I don't know. What do you guys think about that one? To me, I don't have an answer on it, because it's like, I don't even know where that would land. I don't even know what that's supposed to be, because they don't seem compatible with each other. It's like asking which one has the cuter outfit, He-Man or Barbie. It doesn't make much sense to me. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't even seem like the same thing. It's He-Man, by the way. He-Man definitely. Those furry shorts are a fashion statement, all right? Or is it a loincloth? Or is it shorts? I guess it's shorts, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it depends on what He-Man continuity you're looking at, because there is some of them where it's definitely more of a loincloth. So, see, I'm going for the kilt when I finally do my definitive take on He-Man. He-Man's gonna He's going to go Celtic. He's going to be wearing a kilt the whole way. He's going to be playing some bagpipes as he beats on Skeletor. He's going to be playing Oh Danny Boy as Skeletor cries his eyes out. It's going to be quite an emotional scene, trust me. Masters fans thought that they thought that there were some controversial things in Masters of the Universe Revelation. Well, they've not seen nothing yet, because I'm going to have those bagpipes full blast. Okay. The YouTube algorithm wants me very much to make this entire channel just a He-Man channel. And and I love He-Man, but I can't do it. I can't just make every single video about He-Man. That would make my channel a lot more successful. It really would. Fanboys Forever would have grown so much more, even though it had a huge amount of growth. It really did. This year, it's very impressive how much the channel grew. But it would have grown a ton more had I only done Masters of the Universe He-Man videos, just nonstop, like all I do. That would have been it. And it's funny, and it's something I didn't even know this is how the algorithm worked until this year, when I started doing, trying and experimenting with different types of videos. I didn't realize it, but it kind of picks the one thing. Tech specs. Oh yeah, tech specs. That's true, actually. That's something that I hadn't thought about in a long, long time. You know, if I remember right, because I'm a little too young to have really been in. I'm a little too young to have really been like in part of the G1 like heyday. But I was coming in on G2 stuff when I was a kid. I got the G2 Dinobots and all that. And I'll tell you, one thing that I did get when I was a kid, which was part of the tail end of G1, was from a trade store. Mom had found me Weird Wolf, and I believe, from the Headmasters. And I didn't know what Weird Wolf was. I really wasn't even sure he was a Transformer. I just knew he was this cool little robot. And I think with him, couldn't you flip the chest panels open on the Headmasters, and they actually had like different like power levels, like little bar graphs? Yeah. Yeah. And that was pretty neat. Pretty cool. And I just think it's cool to see the little power levels, and that made it very literal, as a kid when you see something like that, and it's like, wow, that's intense. Modern toy lines could learn a little something from that. I think that would be pretty neat, really, if we had more of a focus on power levels. And what I liked was that different Transformers would have different things that they were good at. You had Optimus Prime wasn't just the, he's perfect at everything. No, there was things that some of the Transformers were supposed to be more skilled in than he was, and there's certain things that he was better at. And so I like that. Speaking of things I like, this is so interesting how it kind of is flexible. You can see the little hinges here, and then you plug them into these little spots here, and it shapes. It ends up giving an entire shape to the room there. That is great. That is terrific. And so, let me see here. Okay. Then we're going to build up the little side. We're almost done with this bag, actually. Okay. That goes right there. It's funny because we went ahead and put all the little connection points on the floor. So we know where all the different things are going to be laid out, and kind of the way that it all looks, that it all goes together. So this is something that I'm noticing, and I have to ask myself if I've missed something. You will almost never, ever, ever get really large kind of pieces as extras. And I have a couple here that I I might have missed somewhere. What am I missing here? Because I've got these two, and the tech specs never find the red. Yeah, yeah, that's true actually. That's true. Those things are easy to lose. It's one of those legendarily easily lost kind of deals. See, I refuse to believe that Lego just gave me like extra there, because they don't really do that anymore. Like, they used to give you all sorts of extras. Oh, wait, I see it. I see it. Okay. I just missed this earlier. It goes over here because this level isn't quite as high as the others. See, I was right. Never, ever assume Lego has given you any. You see, this is the kind of thing Lego gives you that's extra. Look at that. Oh, an embarrassment of riches. Wow, a 1x1 stud? No way. You know, it's just the way it is. All right. Okay. We have done the first 3 bags, and I believe that this is a 9-bag build. So we have done the first third, and I believe that that would be a really good, I think, way to break down the videos. Is I think we should do 3, you know, Lord willing that it works out to do this. Let's do 3 parts on this. We'll just do this first part, be its own thing, and then we'll do one more part for the middle and one more part for the end, and then we'll be done. It's coming together really nicely. I'm liking the look of everything so far. Just the amount of space on the floor, I think, is really impressive. That's something I didn't expect. I thought it would be a little more confined, a little more retracted. It's nice to see it, you know, give so much room for that playability aspect, for that fun for it. So I hope that everybody has enjoyed getting to kind of watch the process so far. Hopefully you guys will stick with me as we go to other parts of the build. You never know, I may have a crazy rush and decide just to do it all the next time. I'm hoping tomorrow evening that we'll get back together and we'll build some more on this guy. So I will see you guys tomorrow evening. Hopefully somewhere, sometime in the evening. We'll see. But anyway, God bless you guys. I sure do appreciate you guys watching the live stream with me, and hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow. So take care, God bless, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.